Sitting down to talk about Starfield is always a little weird. I've had videos where I've been incredibly passive. People still get mad. I've had videos where I've been very strong on my points. People get mad. This game is very contentious. No matter what way you approach it, people get upset. I'm actually very thankful the conversation went this way because it felt like when Starfield came out, a thing that was inside me that needed to snap for years finally did. And I don't know if anyone's picked up on it. I don't mind calling attention to it. I've kind of taken this no BS approach to how I make videos now. I'm here to serve the audience. I'm here to deliver my thoughts. You don't have to agree with all of them. I'm just happy to be here, happy to talk about video games, whether it be here on MrMattyPlays or over on Retro Rebound where we really celebrate games. I just love being here, having these conversations, and trying to be a good voice, providing context to contentious subjects like today's, where we have Bethesda responding to the reviews over on Steam, and a lot of people are very upset about this because they're fan-submitted reviews, it's people's opinions, and Bethesda is kind of rolling through in a couple instances saying, you don't get it, guys. It's kind of like this, actually. So, is this bad? Is this weird? Is this actually normal in our industry? I hope to bring all the information to the forefront for you today. If you're new here, you're into Starfield news, information, conversation, updates, all that stuff, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. So my boy Juicehead picked up on this one, posted it on Twitter, went semi-viral with it. Congrats to Juicehead. And so I naturally wanted to talk about this because I think it's a really important topic in our industry, not just for Bethesda, but as a whole, because from what I've learned through research and through tweets that are already going out in response to this, this is actually kind of common, and I don't think it should be. But first, let's read what Bethesda was saying. It's kind of funny, and then we'll get into the rest of it. So you'll see here that the text is mostly blurred because some parts are repeated as general marketing beats for the game, like Starfield's an RPG with hundreds of hours of content, but the main statements are not blurred here, what I wanted to highlight, which is, while there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for the expansive gameplay that is procedurally generated to load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. We believe that shortcoming will not hinder our players from getting lost in the world, or it should be plural, worlds we have created. Meanwhile, over here it says, we are sorry you did not like landing on different planets and find many of them empty. Some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design. It's like, okay, that's fine, but they're not boring. When the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. They certainly weren't bored. The intention of Starfield's exploration is to evoke a feeling of smallness in players and make you feel overwhelmed. You can continue to explore and find worlds that do have resources you need or hidden outposts to look through. That definitely being the most touchy one, and then this one sounding like a complete marketing beat. You can fly, you can shoot, you can mine, you can loot. Starfield is an RPG with hundreds of hours of quests to complete and characters to meet. Most quests will also vary on your character's skills and decisions, massively changing the outcome of your playthrough. Try creating different characters with different backgrounds and characteristics that clash or are oppositive of your previous character. You'll feel like you are playing a totally different game. There are so many layers to Starfield that you will find things you never knew were possible after playing for hundreds of hours. Bethesda could be right on this, all that they said here. They could be right. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It does not matter. People don't want to hear this. Now here, I think, before we get into how hilarious some of these comments are, is the important context. I've seen a lot of YouTubers and press like dragging the development team into this, and you may have recognized at the bottom of all these letters, it is signed from the Bethesda customer support team. This is important to note because Bethesda customer support team sucks. Like, I don't know how else to put it. They have done a really good job of making touchy releases from Bethesda Game Studios even worse. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's go back to Fallout 76, the historically bad launch for Bethesda Game Studios, where here they were asking players to write essays in a support ticket on why third-party mods are bad to get unbanned. Not just, hey, please unban me, an essay. This was the initial request from the Bethesda customer support team. We also had here the response that we saw when the Power Armor Edition did not come with actual canvas bags, and here's 500 atoms. You're welcome. They did follow up on this saying, we're investigating the response from Bethesda Gear Store support team, and we apologize to the customer who took the time to reach out. The support response was incorrect and not in accordance with our conduct policy. Unfortunately, due to the unavailability of materials, we had to switch to a nylon carrying case in the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition. We hope this doesn't prevent anyone from enjoying what we feel is one of our best collector's editions. Yeah, like you have this customer support team that's been swinging not just for BGS on their behalf in ways that have made the situation even worse, fanning the flames. This has happened at other Bethesda games. I actually did a little bit more digging and found out this happened quite recently, frankly, for Doom Eternal. How recently? 10 days ago. Here you have a not recommended review on Steam with 2 hours of playtime, and Bethesda went ahead and responded saying, "Greetings, we are sorry to hear that Doom Eternal did not live up to your expectations. The playstyle of Doom Eternal has become more demanding in comparison to its predecessor. It is certainly more chaotic and fast-paced, and now aims to challenge players in making more important decisions during combat." So this is not just a Starfield thing, and I think that's important to note, because the question being is, does this reek of insecurity from Bethesda Game Studios? And you could take it that way, but this is something they're doing for Doom Eternal, which reviewed stupid well, and they're doing it 3 years after launch. So this is a common thing, unfortunately, and we'll talk about should it be common, but even other former community managers were chiming in on this. I actually worked with Nell when he was at Square Enix when I was reviewing Final Fantasy VII Remake. He's a good dude, and he said here that this is standard practice across the industry. Steam reviews drive sales, and engaging with them helps convert negative reviews to positive and helps new players understand the devs care. You're now just paying attention and for some reason weirded out by it. Like, are we supposed to not respond to our community? This is just another damned if we do, damned if we don't situation that the users put community support into. Want us to address reviews and feedback, but if we do, it's unprofessional and a bad look. So I think what we have here is a situation of a thing that shouldn't be super normal is normal. Community teams beyond just Nell and of course Bethesda and so on and so forth are like, what do you want us to do at this point? Because Starfield is, it's getting hammered online. And naturally, when there's a lot of negativity, the fan base starts to grow and build and go like, come on, give us something, give us something. Here's how I look at it. The best response that any developer can provide to criticism of their game is content. Now, that doesn't mean don't say anything, but the best response you can have is communicating to the development team the problems fans are having with the game, like Starfield. Exploration, not really where it should be. Space travel feels like an interactive loading menu. We want more of this to be fleshed out. You communicate that to them, and then when the content shows up, it's this, oh my God, they've been listening moment. It's gratifying. It's exciting. That's how it should be. Now, I say this as a reviewer on YouTube here, not saying it to create levels here. I think a Steam review can be as valuable to you as my own review, quite frankly, because it just depends on what info you're looking for and how much time you have. But I've had people reach out to me and try to tell me, you don't get this. And if you got this, you would like it more. And the reality is that I go back to a line I really like. No one gets to tell me how my food tastes, right? You don't get to tell me how to feel about a game, whether you're a developer, whether you're just someone watching my content. I've dealt with this for over a decade, and people have had problem with many opinion of mine, and that's kind of the conversation it's been for Starfield. And I bring all that up because for the developers to get involved and kind of do the same thing in a contentious period, I know you can only see so far into the future, but I would not have been doing this for Starfield at all, just given how the game just entered a mixed rating on Steam. It's a bad look. Now, a lot of the community teams have been saying, hey, this is normal. Why are people freaking out? I don't think this should be normal. Again, I think it goes back to the content being the best response. I also think the best response you can have is going through an official, your Xbox Wire post, your Bethesda Net post, like that sort of blog statement that comes from the development team. Like, we want to hear from the development team. Like, that's what matters at the end of the day, not the customer support team that's designed to just help sell units of the game and engage in feedback in a completely different way. It sucks because I think that all the criticism Starfield's getting is fair. I do feel for them in the sense that now something like this is happening and we're dragging the whole development team. Like, how could Todd do this? Because Todd, the guy who helps write the game and direct the game and program the game and so on and so forth, he also apparently is in the Steam replies digging into reviews and sending out responses, or made this mandate, which again, Bethesda has been doing for a while. And I think I've shown enough proof here that it's not only just Starfield, but all their games. And many developers do this. And for those who are asking, like, should this be a thing? I would agree. I don't think it should be. I think the feedback and the interaction is good, but I think when you're going in and trying to, in the case of Starfield, I think it's coming off a little too defensive. Like, hey, if you were on the moon, friend, you wouldn't be bored. It's like, yeah, as everyone's been saying online, because I'm actually on the moon. I'm going to be pretty engaged with what's happening in front of me because I'm not on the moon every day. But when I'm playing a video game and I can go, thanks to your fast travel system, from the moon to a completely separate star system on the other side of the galaxy, yeah, like, look, it's a pretty big difference there. So not the best and brightest response either way from the customer support team, but given that so many problems have built up for Starfield over these last couple months quickly, probably quicker than Bethesda expected, going in and responding to those instead of providing content makes it feel tone deaf. It makes it feel like Bethesda's saying, no, gamers, you just don't get it. And even though we know the development team probably is taking a lot of notes from the community feedback and working hard on Shattered Space, working hard on the modding kits and so on and so forth, that's not being conveyed here. And that's why I think it's just important to bring that part in, have Bethesda customer support work on an individual basis. Like if someone submits a ticket, boom, there you go. Have that interaction there, because now the person's asking for it. But when a consumer's just saying like, hey, I bought this game, I didn't really like it much, I just don't think it's good for the developer to get involved on that, because I just think the relationship is drastically different there. And in the same way that I've mentioned before, where like when someone comes in and goes like, no, Matty, you actually don't feel this way. It's like, what? You don't get to tell me that, right? Like, that's not how it goes at all. It should never go that way. So that's how I stand on things with this Starfield review situation here. At the end of the day, I think it'll just be a blip on the radar, something that people just want to react to this week. But I think the biggest thing that Bethesda can do right now is focus on the content, get more meaningful updates out. I think it's bad that DLSS came out this many months after launch. I thought it would be a couple weeks. The fact that it took until the end of November, I don't think was great. I think they need to get out more meaningful updates and talk more about what's to come. To me, that is the real story with Starfield. And that's where the conversation kind of breaks down a little bit further. You see headlines like this from Kotaku. Why is Starfield hemorrhaging active players? This, single player game that's been out for 3 months now and still has a pretty strong player count on Steam, even if it's being beaten out by Skyrim. It still has a pretty strong player count of around 20,000 concurrent most parts of the day. And then you also have it sitting in the top 10 of Xbox in general for 3 months straight. I'd say that's really good, and it's retaining a strong player base all these months later compared to most single player games, especially in a competitive year. I find what Starfield's doing pretty impressive, but I see a lot of, what do you expect from Kotaku? But I see a lot of outlets kind of participating in the drivel and not trying to be, and I'm not trying to get on my soapbox here, but a good voice. Like, how do we move this conversation forward beyond the negativity and the dragging? How do we bring facts to the table? And what I've done here, by the way, took me maybe 30 minutes to put together in the terms of evidence and just context. Does it mean that you have no right to be angry? No, never want to take that away from you. You're allowed to feel how you want to feel. You're allowed to say what you want to say. I just think that context is always key. So just wanted to provide all of that here today in a Starfield video that who knows how it goes, but whatever. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Please keep it clean down below. With that, take great care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.